Remember in one of the live sessions that we did? Pretty incredible. I made a CFTC projection target. Price was a little bit lower at the time, and I said, I expect price to go to at least this level here because based on the CFTC data and the all-time maximum size for longs, we could see a move like this. How's it going, fellow traders? Magic Trader here, and this is the latest CFTC data that was recorded on February 25th, 2025. Just came out on Friday, and I've had a chance to examine the data all weekend. Did a full in-depth report sent out to whiteoakfx.com members, and I'm just going to briefly go through what we are seeing and dissect some of the data here for you. All right, so like I always like to do, I like to start off by taking a look at the change column because that gives us an inside look at what has transpired over the previous week. All right, so we look at the change column and it tells us the difference between the previous data and this last set of data that got released, and it could give us some indication as to whether or not an asset is bullish or bearish short term. So we look and we're looking for the big numbers. What are the big numbers? I see 74,000 here, and that's for US dollar Japanese yen. So very weak US dollar Japanese yen. We see a bullish euro US dollar with the 52,000. And then down below we have oil at 48,000 in the minus. And then we have the NASDAQ, which was bullish with a positive 41,000. Okay. So the big ones that stick out is a weak US dollar Japanese yen and a strong euro US dollar. All right. So now that we've got that covered, let's go and dive in and start looking at gold. So what do we have with gold? So I told you they were going to start taking profits on their long positions, right? Remember I told you that? I said, watch, they're going to start taking profits on their longs, and it's going to fuel a move to the downside. As you can see, the only position that we should be focusing on is longs, because if you look at longs, you'll see that is the red column. That's the positions that are red. And what does that mean? That means they've been aggressive with their positions. And when we look at the short column, what do we see? They're all blue. What does that mean? Positions are cooled off. That means the banks are not focusing on those positions. So it's the longs that we should be looking at. And this is why we've been focusing on the longs all this time. And so with this profit taking, we can see profit taking place. How do we know that? Well, because we can see positions have gone from 356,000 down to 316,000. Beautiful. So what does that look like? Well, it looks like that. Remember in one of the live sessions that we did? Pretty incredible. I made a CFTC projection target. Price was a little bit lower at the time, and I said, I expect price to go to at least this level here because based on the CFTC data and the all-time maximum size for longs, we could see a move like this. You should check out that video because we detailed exactly how I figured out how much higher we would expect gold to go. Well, anyways, it never reached that limit. It just fell short of it, and now we're seeing the drop to the downside. So interesting times because we're getting a nice drop to the downside and we're heading right towards an interesting area down here. That's right. You see what I'm drawing here? That's an institutional demand zone. Okay. What does that mean? That means price will be attracted to go down to this area. So this is what I think is what's going to happen is we're going to get a move to the downside and then demand is going to come into play. Okay, serious demand zone. What should we expect from there? Well, what always happens when demand zones are contacted? We usually get a rally up in price. Okay, that's what usually takes place. So I'm watching for a continued move to the downside on gold until that area gets hit, and then I'm going to be watching for a move to the upside. Do I think that move to the upside is going to come in and bring a more serious move to the upside? A longer lasting move to the upside? I don't think so. I mean, anything is possible, but, we'll have to wait and see. There will be signals produced when that happens, okay? Remember, 408,000 is all-time maximum size. We got pretty close there. There is room to go even more, for sure. So let's not rule out that price could go, you know, like a rocket from this area. Okay, so let's pay attention to that as things unfold. Next, we got oil. We look at positions. What do we see? We see that longs are cooled off and shorts are cooled off, and they have been for a while, right? Look, cooled off sells. You see these sells? What's the only thing you see change? Well, take a look at shorts. They became more aggressive. 159,000. That's a big bump up. 134,000 to 159,000. And look, what do we get? We got drop in price. Okay, so it's no wonder why they were adding shorts. Where are we contacting? We're coming back and contacting this area of demand again. Now, I've mentioned this many times. We were bullish when price contacted demand here. It rallied up. We saw the buying and then they offloaded, now entering into shorts, and they're back at demand. So we have a bullish bias overall, and it's not because of the positioning or anything like that. It's more so because demand is in play. Unless demand gets taken out, we are expecting more upside. Okay, let's look at the US dollar. US dollar has been bullish. We saw the rally up. It did fall short of hitting the area of supply up here, and it started to pause. So what's going on? There's the pause. Let's look at the positions. What do we see? We see longs cooled off. We see shorts cooled off. Shorts were aggressive for some time here, right? They were aggressive for some time, but then all of a sudden they became cooled off. So both shorts and longs at this time are cooled off. And if you remember, we've been saying for quite some time, don't be basing the direction of the US dollar or the US dollar led pairs by looking at the US dollar index, because it's not a good indication of what's to come. And I still stand by that, okay? One thing I will point out is if you look at the coloration of the cells, you can see that they were somewhat bearish here, right? Somewhat bearish. And look what they're starting to become, okay? They're starting to become bullish. So is this an indication that we're going to see a move to the upside? You know, it could be. I mean, we also have evidence on another asset, which we'll get to soon, that is suggesting that upside is the momentum that's going to be kicking in. So we'll point to that when that time comes. Right now, we're going to look at the Aussie. And Aussie, let's take a look at the short column. We can see that shorts have been aggressive for quite some time now. But what has been happening with shorts over the last few weeks? We see a decline in shorts from 110 down to 96. So they're profit taking on their short positions. Okay, profit taking on their short positions. Now, what's the interesting thing? Let's look over at the long positions. Oops. Boom, boom. Long positions are cooled off, and they have been for some time. But look at this latest sell. Look what's happening. It's starting to become bullish. Does this mean that price is going to go higher? This is interesting. It's a very interesting time, I'll tell you. You know why? Because later on we're going to look at the Kiwi dollar and what it's suggesting. And it kind of clashes with what we're seeing with the US dollar, Japanese yen. And we typically like to see the markets correlated with each other. There's a lot of assets that are positively correlated, and there's a lot of assets that are negatively correlated. And we like to see those correlations stay true. But we're seeing something veer off that correlation, right? So we're seeing signals here that the Aussie is getting profit taking on shorts and they're increasing longs, which is kind of suggesting that we might get a move to the upside, right? Like when you think about it, it kind of suggests that we might be seeing a move to the upside from here. It may be short term, or it could be a little bit more medium term, but we're definitely seeing signs that we could get a push to the upside on this. Okay, so let's move along and see what else we got here. US CAD. It hit supply, and what happened? It dropped. Remember we were talking about that? Remember we were talking about that because positions were getting so aggressive, right? Back here they got aggressive when we saw the sell-off, right? And then, or that was back here. And further back, it was aggressive, and we saw the sell-off, and that was from here. And 180, what I say, probably going to sell off take profits on their long positions, and it's going to cause them to move to the downside, and that's what has taken place. But look, right after that, price has gone up. But what is the very interesting thing from all this? I remember mentioning this to you guys, and I hope you remember. Remember what I said about the short column, how positions were staying very cooled off. And what does that mean? That means the banks aren't focused on shorting at that point because they're focusing on the long positions. So why would they be focusing on longs and not focusing on shorts? Well, because maybe in the future they're going to continue pushing price higher. Remember, maximum size is 219,000. Okay, 219,000. So we could be seeing another accumulation of a long position going forward. We could. Look at that. Not much of a move. Remember, we've had that situation happen before here. Not much of a move down, and it started to accumulate. Now we're getting, again, not much of a move down, and we're starting to accumulate. So this could be the beginning of a bigger push to the upside. Now, I would have loved to see price come down into this institutional demand zone because I would have been looking for long signals down there, but it fell short, so we have to move on and look for new signals, okay? But let's keep that in mind what I'm pointing out here. All right, US Swiss longs are aggressive, shorts are cooled off. Same thing with US CAD, right? And what do we get? Yes, we got a decline, but you see how it's like not a very steep drop like we got recently with the US dollar Japanese yen. Still kind of holding, right? So that kind of suggests to me that short-term momentum is going to build up here, and it may even turn into longer-term momentum. So something definitely to watch for as price unfolds. Euro US dollar. So we got the rally up and then a slight drop to the downside. Is this one ready to drop? Maybe, but remember what we were looking at with the Aussie, showing us signs that it might go upwards, right? So, I mean, is it going to drop, or are we going to see a reversal here? Well, what do the positions tell us? Well, let's take a look at the positions. If we look at shorts, we can see that they've been very aggressive with shorts, okay, for quite some time. What's the trend over the last few days? They've been reducing their positions. So taking profits on shorts, right? We've seen this in other pairs. Taking profits on shorts. And what do we see with long positions? They're actually accumulating. 165, 170, 182. Does this mean that they're going to short-term move price to the upside? Hard to say at this point, okay? Very difficult to say. Bottom line, look at the coloration of the cells here. What do you see mostly? We saw a little bit of redness in amongst this bearishness, or in amongst this neutral, right? A little bit of bearishness and then neutral again. So I'm sitting on my hands when it comes to this one. I don't want to speculate on what's going to happen because it's in the middle of the ocean. I don't know which way the tides are going to come in because it's the banks that create the tides. I don't see what they're going to do on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday. I don't have their playbook, so I can't tell you what they're going to do. I can usually tell you what they're going to do if I see them responding to zones that they recently created, but there's no zones here being created, and there's no zones here being contacted. So there's nothing really to see. So I know when's the time to trade and when the time is not, and this is not the time to trade the euro. So I'm going to just sit on the sidelines. Same thing with the pound. In fact, we had a supply zone here, if you guys remember, on the weekly time frame. And I was looking for a short signal because there was a very good chance that price was going to use this area to give us a significant drop. And instead what happened is the system failed to produce a short signal. Okay, the charts failed to produce a short signal, which told us do not short. All right, and then look what happened. It broke through to the upside, and now we have a ranging situation where price is going to be stuck in this range here. So I don't want to speculate on what's the future of price because it could pretty much do anything. And take a look again. If you look at the coloration here, what do we see recently? Neutral, cooled off, not bullish, not bearish. So you know, a tinge of bullishness, but really look where price, or look what where the positions are going, the net positions into negative territory. So it's basically neutral. So I'm not going to speculate because it could do just about anything. So when we see situations like this, we just move along. US dollar, Japanese yen. This is huge, guys. Look at the positions here. This is the largest ever short position on the US dollar Japanese yen. That's a new maximum size. Okay? Remember I told you be careful because they can continue adding shorts. They could create an all-time new maximum size. Yes, I told you that. So this is why I told you that, because we have to be aware of that. Interesting thing is, as that was taking place, we had demand coming into play here. And so what happens now? Well, I'll tell you one thing. What typically happens when shorts reach all-time maximum size, they have to take profits on it, and it fuels a move to the upside. At least a short-term move to the upside, which could lead to a medium-term move to the upside. It could. But I'm not going to speculate at this point. We do have a short signal that could be produced, or sorry, a long signal that could be produced. So I'm going to be watching for that. If that long signal is produced, it will be produced somewhere around this area. If it is, I will ride a trade as high as I can until the target's up above price, and I'll close a portion of the position off, and I'll hold the rest of it for a bigger move to the upside, because I think there is a good chance, considering where the positions are, that we're going to see a move to the upside. Okay, and this is what I was talking about when we were looking at the US dollar index, how there was indications from other charts that dollar pairs could be heading higher. Well, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to be paying attention to that and watching to see if that signal gets produced, and then we will take it from there. Okay, Kiwi, this is the one I was talking about. Look at that. Shorts have also reached a maximum size. Like, where the heck did this come from? So out of nowhere, all right? And the reason why I say that is because usually, you know, if the US dollar-led pairs are reaching maximum size on shorts, you're not going to see the Kiwi or Aussie or Euro or Pound reaching max size on shorts as well. It just doesn't happen. So it's kind of bizarre, all right? If we look at long positions, you can see they haven't been focused on long positions really since contracts expired, okay? And contracts expired back here December 17th. So you can see that switch from 19,000 to 9,000 positions. So longs are cooled off, very cooled off at this point. So what does this tell me? Remember the Aussie, what I was talking about, and the signs that we were looking at? It kind of suggests that we're going to see short-term move to the upside, right? They've maxed out on shorts. If they're going to close off their shorts, because they're going to have to at some point, it might be causing a move to the upside here. So then what does that mean for the dollar-led pairs? Very interesting, isn't it? Yeah, that's why I'm telling you, we have to be careful right now. You know, if the US dollar produces a signal, I'll go long. But I am going to be cautious because I want to see how this is going to play out. How is this reaching maximum shorts and suggesting a move to the upside when we have dollar-led pairs suggesting that they are going to be moving to the upside? I mean, I really don't see how the dollar-led pairs are going to rally up and Kiwi's going to rally up too. I mean, it could happen, but it's not likely to happen, okay? So we'll be watching for that, and we'll see how things play out. All right, ladies and gents, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed the session. If you want to learn more how we do this analysis, I would recommend that you join us. whiteoakfx.com. Go to the website, check it out, read through, learn what it is that we teach, and hopefully you dip your toe in the school and see for yourself and start learning alongside with us. All right, last year we got 35% return. So far we're up around 12% already, okay, in 2 months. Not too bad, not too shabby. We're aiming for 100. We'll see how close we get to that. All right, guys, that's it. You enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll talk to you later. So long.